All right, folks, gather around and welcome to another edition of Strange Files. It's story time. We're going to dive into one of the darkest corners of the universe. I kid you not. The most sinister past that have been traveled by those who came before us. Today, we journey again back to the 20th century in South Africa, of all places, to explore the story of Daisy de Melker. And it's a haunting one, I'll tell you that. A woman whose name has become synonymous with prison, betrayal, and murder. Daisy Louisa C. Hancorn Smith was born on June 1st, 1886. In Grahamstown, South Africa, born into a large family of 11 children. Now, Daisy's early life was indeed marked with hardship and obscurity, perhaps overshadowed by her siblings. Daisy learned early to blend into the background, a skill that would later serve her well in her dark pursuits. Now, as a young woman, Daisy trained as a nurse. To those around her, she appeared compassionate and loving and caring, a nurturing figure who dedicated herself to healing others. Yet beneath this comforting facade lurked a calculating mind and a heart capable of chilling cruelty. In 1909, Daisy married her first husband, William Alfred Cowle. Old William, or Bill, I don't know if they called him Bill, but he was a plumber by trade. Their marriage appeared conventional enough from the outside. However, beneath the surface lied tensions that were a-brewing. On January 11th, 1923, tragedy struck their house. William became violently ill after taking Epsom salts prepared by Daisy herself. His condition deteriorated rapidly. He screamed in agony, foamed at the mouth, and turned an alarming shade of blue before succumbing to his death. The attending doctor initially suspected strychnine poisoning, that is, but ultimately certified the cause as chronic nephritis and cerebral hemorrhaging. No further investigation was conducted at that time. Conveniently for Daisy, she inherited £1,795 from William's life insurance policy, a substantial sum in those days. 3 years later, in January 1926, Daisy remarried another plumber, that is, named Robert Sproat. For some reason, Daisy had a thing for plumbers. And history, you guessed it, eerily repeated itself. Robert fell gravely ill in October 1927 after drinking a beer after work served by none other than his beautiful, beautiful bride, Daisy. Dandelion Daisy.
Those are two different flowers, and maybe they don't go together.
But he recovered briefly, only to suffer another attack shortly after, this time fatal. Again, symptoms pointed suspiciously toward poisoning, violent muscle spasms, and excruciating pain. But once more, doctors attributed this death to natural causes, arterial sclerosis, and cerebral hemorrhage. Sounds familiar? And Daisy inherited over 4,000 smackaroonies, plus additional pension funds from Robert's estate. By now, whispers began circulating quietly among family members, particularly Robert's younger brother, William Sproat, who grew increasingly suspicious about these convenient deaths and substantial inheritances flowing directly Daisy's way, right into her smock pockets. Yet Daisy remained undeterred by suspicion or whispers. She married again on January 21st, 1931, to yet, you guessed it, not a rocket scientist and not a mortician, but a plumber. What was it about these plumbers? I know, it was the 20s and plumbing was coming to fruition. Plumbing was a thing. So if you were a plumber, you were making money. You were making the bucks. So people were starting plumbing businesses. I just thought of that. I don't know if it's true, but I'll look it up and I'll tell you right now. And yes, I was right. The Roaring 20s was indeed the roaring toilets flushing.
The roaring sound of toilets flushing.
So Daisy was onto something. And this plumber's name was Sidney Clarence de Melker. But this marriage would not end as tragically as her previous unions. No. Nay. Sidney, you see, would survive his association with Daisy unscathed. Instead, it was someone else close to her who would become her next victim. Her only son from her first marriage, Rhodes Cowle. Rhodes had grown into a fine young man by then. At 20 years old, he worked diligently and hard, a hard worker. The 20s was kind of like the 80s was a time of prosperity, and people were making money. It was 10 years of wealth before, the stock market crashed in 1929. But yeah, he worked hard. He was 20 years old and he worked diligently at a local garage and awaited an inheritance because of his dad dying, and it would be due upon reaching his 21st birthday. And it was a life insurance policy that was taken out years earlier by his sweet, loving, caring mother. Late February 1932, it saw Daisy traveling under a secret name to purchase arsenic from a chemist in Turpentine, claiming falsely it was needed for an ailing cat. Days later, on March 2nd, Rhodes fell violently ill after drinking coffee from a thermos prepared lovingly by his mama, or rather lethally by his mama. Rhodes suffered violently, horribly, until finally 3 days later succumbing to his death on March 5th. And doctors initially attributed this death incorrectly to cerebral malaria, but suspicion finally caught up to Daisy when Rhodes' colleague James Webster also fell ill after sipping briefly from that same flask, but fortunately survived due to consuming less coffee than Rhodes had. Alarmed now beyond mere whispers and shadows of suspicion, Robert Sproat's brother William approached authorities, demanding an investigation into these doggone murders and mysteries of deaths surrounding Daisy de Melker's life. On April 15th, police decided to exhume the body of William Cowle, the first husband, Robert Sprout's second husband, and Rhodes Cowle's son. Forensic examinations revealed the shocking truth. Traces of strychnine found within the vertebra bones confirmed suspicions surrounding both husbands' deaths. Arsenic discovered within Rhodes' remains conclusively proved poisoning as the cause of death, rather than malaria, as previously thought. Man, these doctors, what the heck? The trial began amidst public interest, lasting 30 dramatic days, filled with testimonies from over 60 witnesses, including toxicology experts, confirming poisonings beyond doubt, yet still leaving these lingering uncertainties regarding the motives behind Rhodes' murder, specifically financial desperation, perhaps, or something darker still. Ultimately, though, uncertainties remained regarding motives. The court found sufficient evidence proving conclusively that Daisy poisoned her son, Rhodes Cecil Cowle, desperately using arsenic-laced coffee she herself prepared lovingly, yet lethally for him alone. You see, I love you, son, but I need the money. Don't blame me, I'm greedy.
It's hard for a mama to live out here.
And they weren't from Alabama, they were from South Africa, so I don't know why I was using that sound. She wouldn't say mom. Anyway, on December 30th, 1932, after proclaiming innocence until final moments, Daisy Louisa de Melker became only second woman executed via hanging within South African criminal history, buried thereafter anonymously within Pauper's grave. She should have been putting some of that money away for her burial. Following insolvency caused by exorbitant legal costs, incurred throughout trial proceedings themselves. Today, nearly 1 century later, the scepter hauntingly remains. Was financial greed the sole motivator behind these heinous acts? Or did deeper psychological darkness drive actions committed repeatedly against those closest around? Whatever truth Daisy de Melker concealed deep within her heart and mind, her chilling legacy remains forever etched into the annals of true crime history. Her sinister tale endures as a haunting reminder of betrayal and murder, immortalizing her name as one of history's most infamous poisoners, Daisy de Melker. And thank you for tuning into this episode of Strange Files. And if you enjoyed diving into this chilling tale of Daisy de Melker, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another gripping story. And hey, while you're at it, give us a like, leave a comment, and share this episode with your fellow true crime enthusiasts. And until next time, I'll see you in the next file.